Hello, denizens of the internet. Well, if you haven't noticed, I'm wearing my Make Canada Mediocre Again hat. That's because we have an election coming up April 28th, I think. Vote early, vote often. And, one of the things that we can pride ourselves on as Canadians is to always vote in the most mediocre candidate. So with that in mind, let's continue. So I know you love, or most of you love, my green light or not episodes. While it is fun running new shows through the process, I thought, why not dig up some pilots from the days long past and see how they fare against my 10 steps to a guaranteed television success? My premise is, would they fly now, even as crazy and wacky as they were back then? I'm kidding about the guarantee, as you audience types are a fickle lot, and there are never any guarantees in show business. Shows critics reviled, like Three's Company, became huge hits, and shows critics loved, like St. Elsewhere, barely held on. There is just no telling. My first From the Vaults Greenlight or Not show will be I Dream of Jeannie. It came out in 1965 on NBC, starring Barbara Eden and Larry Hagman. The series was created and produced by Sidney Sheldon in response to the great success of rival network ABC's Bewitched series, which had debuted in 1964 as the second most watched program in the United States. That's what you call a hit, folks. Before I dive into the questions, I hope you picked up on the fact that one network had a hit on their hands and another network wanted to find a show with a similar premise to try to get their own hit. What a shock. We call that in the business copying. And this also illustrates how networks and production companies are usually looking for a specific thing and often a derivative of the latest trend, or just, filling a demographic hole in their lineup. The moment Magnum PI became a hit, then suddenly every production company commissioned writers to come up with something similar. Hence, we got Matt Houston. As they say, good artists copy, great artists steal. But I should mention, it's also one of the reasons why writers get turned down. It's often not because of the quality of the work that they've done. It's because the premise that they've come up with, or the demographic that that particular product is attracting, it doesn't fit their schedule. So just because you get turned down, it's not because you aren't good. So keep on trying. Don't give up. So how did Bewitched get made? I have no idea. It was very original in its time, but usually the networks with the most original content are the ones in last place, desperate to find a hit. Maybe the lesson here is, if you have a really original idea, don't pitch it to successful production companies. Let's get on with the scoring for I Dream of Jeannie. Number 1, does the show have an easily understood and engaging premise? Much like Bewitched, I Dream of Jeannie is what we call in the business high concept. It is very easy to understand the premise. American astronaut, marooned on desert island after a failed rocket launch, finds a mysterious bottle, rubs it, and out pops a genie who helps him return to civilization, except that he is now her master, and he can't get rid of her. It's outlandish, but cute. I would add that it might be more intriguing now because we have way more fantasy content on cable and streaming than we ever had on network TV back then. Yeah, I'd give the premise, easily digestible premise, we all get it, a 9 out of 10. Does it have unique characters? Of that, there is no doubt. Of course, you have Jeannie, whose character, demeanor, vocabulary, motivation, and line delivery is absolutely unique, recognizable, and charming. Tony Nelson is the hotshot astronaut with a beautiful fiancée and a solid career ahead of him that Jeannie is going to wreck. Best friend Roger Healy, Tony's nervous astronaut buddy, is great for comic relief. Dr. Bellows is NASA's medical officer, who is now suspicious of Tony's change in demeanor after returning from space. Plus, you've got the assortment of blustering military personnel. This show is a classic farce, and the characters are well defined. 9 out of 10. Is the cast engaging and attractive? Oh boy. Okay, so Barbara Eden is iconic, beautiful, and Larry Hagman is leading man handsome. The supporting cast are all pros. 9 out of 10. Number 4 is home base. Does it have one? Well, the show does not start out at home base like most sitcoms. We do find ourselves at Tony's home and at NASA very, very quickly. Those are the two main locations. 9 out of 10. On to the script. Apart from the premise, characters, and casting, the writing is a biggie, but pilots are hard to write. They rarely get everything nailed out of the gate, primarily because sitcoms tend to figure themselves out over time. And don't forget, I'm also judging this as if it was pitched now. Sheldon, who wrote the pilot, gets a lot of information out very, very quickly. It starts with a shot of the launch gantry. We cut to Tony in his spacesuit. Several men are fussing over him. The general walks in. After some banter, the general then tells us, that his daughter Melissa wasn't allowed to see his fiancé, Tony, upping the stakes. Roger lets out how lucky Tony is to be going into orbit and getting married next week. Scene ends with the doctor saying, "Well, throw you a bachelor party when you get back," if people didn't get what was going on already. All this takes place within the first minute. I do like how classic sitcoms unembarrassingly don't try to get too clever. It accomplishes several things. One, Tony comes across as a take charge kind of guy, which is a great setup to have Jeannie come in and upend his life. An impending wedding ups the stakes for Jeannie's arrival. The writing is of its time, forthright, funny, but clumsy and clunky. The other thing to remember is that I Dream of Jeannie is a farce with mistaken intents, close calls, and physical comedy. I can't think of a single modern sitcom farce. Maybe, the commenters can help me on that. The script was fine in its time, but I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. As far as production values are concerned, it was obviously done on the cheap in that Hollywood backlot kind of way. Today, I'd give it a 3 out of 10. No fair, you say. Well, tough. Number 7 is, does the show return to equilibrium? Equilibrium is Jeannie causing havoc, almost getting discovered, but gets away with it in the end due to the exasperated work of Tony, or just plain dumb luck. It is a farce, after all. Sheldon knows the rules, and I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. Number 8, does the show have legs? In other words, can we envision the show lasting 5 years? This is a tough one. As farces wear out their welcome quickly, you can only play keep away for so long. There would be only so many times Tony could explain away his stunning blonde who keeps hanging around to his fiancée, to future girlfriends. Year 5, you'd probably jump the shark as they did and have them fall in love and get married. Now, if this was a Marvel show, well, then you absolutely know Jeannie would be discovered by the military police and then captured and put into a cage and experimented on and until they found the special serum that they could make everyone else, all their other soldiers, into Jeannies, something like that. Anyways, I'm giving this 5 out of 10, not the Marvel idea. The creative team, now that's always really important. Sidney Sheldon was a huge name in the entertainment biz in his time, a prolific writer. He was a Tony and Academy Award winner. His TV efforts included I Dream of Jeannie and The Patty Duke Show, which I loved, and Heart to Heart. He wrote most of the shows he developed. I'd be very confident if he was still around today to manage things. 9 out of 10. And finally, am I excited about watching the next episode? Absolutely, no question. 9 out of 10. One of the things I was wrestling with regarding this green light or not of classic sitcoms was, would I have approved of it back in its day versus would I give it the go ahead now if this was a fresh new idea? My wife said I should just do both. Okay, always agree with your wife. Obviously, with my 1965 suit on, the answer is yes. Even with a score of 76 out of 100, which is the highest I've ever given in my series, I'm conflicted about how a silly farce would work today. Then again, with all the witches, dragons, and vampires and end-of-the-world dystopian shows out there, why not? So I'm giving it a modern green light. What do you folks think? Would a properly done, updated version of the show still work? A Jeannie in our highly technical society? I actually think it might work better. They did a Bewitched movie that was not very good because they forgot that it was a farce. Till next time, denizens, be seeing you. Make Canada mediocre again.